Okay, looks like we're good. Hi, everyone. My name is Celeste, and I'm hosting the Spring 2018 Viterbi Scholar Live Chat. So first of all, I just want to say congrats to all of you guys watching this. You got into the Viterbi School of Engineering, which is an awesome feat, and you're considered for a merit scholarship. So congratulations on all of those things. This live chat is where a panel of current engineering students, as you can see down here, will answer questions that have been submitted to us on viterbivoices.usc.edu. And so we'll go through those. And this is specifically geared toward admitted students who are scholarship finalists, like I mentioned. So many of the students here have been in your exact spot before. Remember opening that package, remember what you guys feel. And they're here to answer all of your questions that are specific to scholarship and stuff like that. And we've already received a lot of questions on the form, but feel free to keep submitting questions. And it's on that website, like I mentioned earlier, and we'll try our best to get to all of them in the hour that we have. So first, we'll start off by telling you guys a bit about ourselves and what we do on campus, and then we'll go into the questions. So we'll start with Nash.
All right. Hi, guys. I'm Nash. Quick first thing, go Birds. Sorry for the Patriots fans out there, but really excited that the Eagles pulled off a Super Bowl victory tonight. So without much more ado about that, my name is Nash Galbitz. I'm a senior at USC studying aerospace engineering, and I'm from Colorado Springs, Colorado. I do a few different things around campus. Namely, I'm the vice president of SC AIAA. AIAA is the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. So we're a professional organization that kind of connects students with the design, and build teams, the engineering product teams, with professional opportunities, organizations, and kind of the industry as a whole. I've also done some research on the drag reduction effects of certain kinds of paints on submerged surfaces of boats and hydrofoils, or airfoils in water. I played on the club tennis team and was a captain of that team for about a year. I am also a member of the USC Ski and Snowboard Club, or team. So we go up to Mammoth Lakes, California almost every weekend. I was there this weekend as well to ski and snowboard. That's a great time. And I'm a licensed pilot. I'm an instrument-rated private pilot with my seaplane rating. And I got that up in Seattle, Washington, actually, while I was working for Boeing. And so I've had 2 internships with Boeing, one doing fuel mileage for airplanes and one doing flight testing. And I'm returning to do flight testing after I graduate this spring on the new 777X in Seattle, Washington. And finally, I've studied abroad with the Viterbi Summer Overseas program in Madrid, Spain.
Cool. So, hey guys, my name is Savina. I'm a junior from the Bay Area, Fremont, California to be specific. I'm studying computer engineering and computer science with a minor in entrepreneurship and a pre-law emphasis. I'm also part of the thematic option honors program, which is, they call it an honors program, but it's really just an alternate GE program. And on campus, I'm involved in an entrepreneurship-centered organization called Spark SC. And I've done robotics research on campus, and during my summers, I've studied abroad in Madrid at doing the same program that Nash did. And I've also interned at NASA, and next summer I will be doing an internship at Facebook.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria and I'm from Orlando, Florida. This year I'm a senior studying chemical engineering with an emphasis in material science. And so I've been involved with material science research since my freshman year, working with carbon fiber composites. So our lab has partnered with companies like Northrop Grumman and SpaceX to develop carbon fiber hulls for things like spaceships and planes. I was also president of Quest, our LGBTQ+ engineering organization, where we planned academic, social, and professional events for our members. And this year I've actually joined the Min Family Challenge, which is a social engineering entrepreneurship challenge. So we're actually developing a product to create clean drinking water for hurricane affected areas. And we've gotten a lot of tutoring about how entrepreneurship works and starting your own business and things like that as part of the program. And then I was also in Madrid with Savina and Nash in Spain for 7 weeks taking 2 classes. And then this past summer, I interned at Microsoft with their devices departments, and I'll be returning there full time once this year is up.
Hey everyone, my name is Nathan. I'm a sophomore from Santa Barbara, California, and I'm studying mechanical engineering with a minor in entrepreneurship. And on campus, I work in a robotics research lab, helping develop socially assistive robots for children with autism, And additionally, I'm also an RA in a freshman dorm, and I work as a freshman academy coach, which is a mentorship role where I co-teach an introductory course to engineering freshmen, helping them with their adjustment to college and teaching them what engineering is like at USC. I'm also in a fraternity on campus, and this past summer I interned at a space systems company called Orbital ATK. And outside of all of that, I love to go camping on weekends, go surfing, to the beach, snowboarding, all that good stuff.
Cool. Hey guys, my name is Ria. I'm a junior studying biomedical engineering here with a minor in healthcare studies, and I'm from Cupertino, California, so also the Bay Area. On campus, I do a bunch of different things. So I work in a research lab, which is the USC Biomechanics Lab, where I work with athletes and do kind of sports performance analysis with them. I've also been involved with the club Ultimate Frisbee team here on campus and have volunteered with Coaching Corps, where I coach little kids on Ultimate Frisbee. And I also volunteer at LA County Hospital with kids at the Violence Intervention Program. On campus, I've also been involved with the entrepreneurship community, doing a bunch of different business plan competitions. And this, for the last 2 summers, I've been abroad. I've been in China doing research at the Tsinghua University in Beijing, and also spent last summer in Italy through the Viterbi Overseas Program, taking 2 classes. Next summer, I'll be spending it in Irvine, so a little less exciting, but working at Edwards Life Sciences on their transcatheter heart valve team.
Hi guys, my name is Tim, and I'm a sophomore from Calgary, Alberta in Canada, studying industrial and systems engineering with a minor in petroleum engineering. On campus, I'm involved on the international outreach team with Engineers Without Borders. I'm a member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers. I've volunteered with USC's chapter of Volunteers Around the World, with which I've gone on 2 medical service trips to Cambodia and Peru in the last 2 years during winter break. I'm a camp counselor for Camp Kesem at USC. I play on the men's club ice hockey team, and I'm a member of a social fraternity.
Cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Ying. I'm a junior studying computer science from Chandler, Arizona. I do a couple things on campus. The first is doing research at the Robotics Embedded Systems Lab. I'm currently working on a project where I'm developing a couple of path planning algorithms for underwater vehicles. I'm also one of the co-founders of Athena Hacks, which is USC's all-female hackathon. So basically, we put together a weekend where we have students from different schools all around Southern California come to USC for a weekend of building and learning and collaborating with each other. Just altogether a great weekend, good time. It's coming up soon, so I'm excited. I'm also in Code the Change, which is a student organization that builds web apps for nonprofits around LA. We're currently working on a project that will help high school students go into college and have access to all sorts of resources that will keep them in the education system and further along in their career. I interned at a robotics startup a couple of years ago, and last year I interned at Slack as a software engineering intern, and I'll be going back this summer.
Cool. Okay, thank you, everyone. Again, I'm Celeste. I'm a sophomore studying mechanical engineering, so I just switched from biomedical engineering about 2 weeks ago, so very exciting. I'm originally from San Pedro, California, which is about 30 minutes away from USC, so I'm local. I'm in the thematic option program, like Suvina mentioned earlier, where it's a GE alternative with more reading and writing intensive, but like smaller class sizes, which is really cool. I'm also in 3D4E, which is a 3D printing club on campus where we design different things. I'm on the medical device team for that. So I've designed an insert to prevent concussions for football players, arthritic assistive devices to help people with arthritis. And now I'm working with a doctor at the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, working on radiation oncology and how we can improve things through 3D printing in that field. I'm also in Troy Camp, which is a non-engineering organization in which I'm the director of middle school programming. And so what we do in Troy Camp is basically work with students in the area around USC, providing long-term mentorship, bringing them to summer camp for free, and then mentoring them all the way through high school. And then also I do research in a lab called the Lab for Living Systems Engineering, and we work on making organs on chips. I work specifically on a heart on a chip, and I worked on that all last summer here doing research, and I might get a paper published out of that soon, which is super duper exciting. And then outside of class, I also like to go snowboarding in Mammoth and go to the beach and all the fun stuff that we can do in LA. So with that, and with learning about everyone, we'll go straight into the questions. So first, the most asked question out of everything is, how can we prepare for the scholarship interview, and what do we expect from the scholarship interview that we're going to do at Explore? Does anyone want to tackle that one?
I can kind of take a shot starting off. Probably because I had this similar concern as most likely a lot of you guys before my scholarship interview. I was so ecstatic, first off, to open up that huge package. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I was admitted USC and being considered for the scholarship. So a ton of emotions, a lot of happiness, all at the same time. And I thought, oh man, okay, there's this interview, this huge thing that's looming in the future. I don't really know what's going to happen, what I should do, like where to even start. But the first thing you need to do is have confidence in yourself, because you need to realize that, well, your selection to be considered for this scholarship is probably the most indicative thing of how great and amazing of a person you already are, right? So take that into your self-confidence and into your interview, and it's really important to make sure that you can, try your best to be able to come to campus and interview to really show off the person who you really are, because USC is obviously really excited about getting to know you more. So I think as far as hard tips on preparation and that sort of thing, I mean, just kind of know what you wrote in your application, obviously, what things you care about, what makes you excited about engineering, and really, what makes you get up every morning and get you excited. I think really being yourself, it does sound a little cliche, but being yourself and showing to the people who want to learn more about you at USC, what you're interested in and what makes you who you are is the best combination, at least in my opinion, that you can do, because, showing yourself off at the end of the day for the things you really care about, for me, seemed to be what at least felt right and what I was comfortable with. And I think if you can find that balance between what you feel like is the best representation of yourself, what you like the most and what's comfortable, you can't go wrong. And at the end of the day, also try to enjoy it. I know that sounds a little bit odd or tricky, but you only get to do these interviews once, so try to enjoy that process as well. The opportunity to come visit campus is one opportunity that I'm so happy I took advantage of. It really helped define my view of USC.
Yeah, I remember when I came for the interview, all the students I was talking to on campus before, I was really nervous, and I was like, oh no, like, what do I expect? What's it going to be like? Are they just going to keep asking me all these really tough questions? Are they going to ask me what biomedical engineering is? Because I don't know. But really, it just comes down to a conversation, and it's conversation about the things that you like the most, the things that you wrote on your application. So it's super casual. It's really fun. I think we talked about Harry Potter for like at least half of my interview. So there's no stress. You guys will be completely fine.
I would like to note, bring formal clothes, somewhat. Don't show up in like a t-shirt and shorts or that sort of thing. But yeah, it is a casual interview, like Ria said, but definitely be prepared, to present yourself accordingly as well. So.
Yeah, and the last thing I would add to that is, I remember when I first got here, I was really worried because I didn't know a ton about Viterbi. And I felt like I had to do all this research beforehand into a million different things. But you're here for a day and a half before the interview, so you have time to ask questions. You can ask people the things you're wondering about, and like you'll be meeting all of us, and you can ask us like anything you want in that time period about Viterbi, about the program, study abroad. So for me, that was really helpful, because when I got into my interview, I was already super excited. I was like, yeah, I really want to study abroad. I really want to get involved in research, all these things. So take Explore for what it is. It's an opportunity for you to also get to know USC and Viterbi and what we have to offer. So don't worry if you don't feel like you know everything about the school before you come here.
Yeah, and then along with that, I just want to say that the panel of people interviewing you isn't like 10 faculty members and you. It's usually like one student that's literally an engineering student, one faculty member, and like one staff. So it's not like a terrifying board of people like watching you. It's, again, like other people said, like a conversation. And then I have a really quick story about that. Maria on this panel right here. Maria was in the dining hall with me right before my interview when I was at Explore. And she gave me the best pep talk ever because I was so nervous. And I'm sure all of you guys are really nervous about the interview, but she gave me this pep talk and I was like, all right, like I'm going to go kill it. And then it was really fun. So quick shout out to her. But yeah, you get to meet cool people at Explore. We'll talk about that soon. So if anyone else has anything else to add with that? No, we're good? All right. So next, another question that was asked a lot was about research. I know a lot of you guys are interested in doing research when you come to USC. So the question is, what research have all of you guys been involved in? And how hard was it to find research, or how easy was it?
I'll talk a little bit about this one. So I mentioned earlier, I'm in a robotics research lab, and I actually joined that my very first semester on campus, my freshman year. And I mean, that kind of explains how easy it was for me. As a freshman that was just coming in, all I had to do was go to a faculty that was doing research that sounded interesting to me and just ask her if I could join her lab. And it's like that with a lot of different people. You just have to reach out to faculty and to have a conversation with them about their lab, your interests, how you guys can make those two things come together, and it works out. So yeah, like I'm working in a computer science lab, but I'm mechanical engineering, so I work on all the hardware aspect and the build aspect of all the robots we build, and I love it.
Yeah, I would agree. I also joined research at the Robotics Embedded Systems Lab during my first semester, during my freshman year. So like Nathan was saying, it's very much kind of like an individual incentive sort of thing. If you're interested in doing it, you should definitely reach out. For me, I knew I wanted to do research, but I didn't know what type. So I was actually really lucky to sit down with 3 or 4 professors in charge of their labs and talk to them more about what they did, how I might be able to fit into those projects that they had. I actually had a professor say to me, I think that as a freshman, some of the stuff we're doing is a little technically difficult and you don't have the skills necessarily to do that, but we'd love you to come back in a semester after taking a few classes. And it was really good to be able to talk and just be very candid about, I've never programmed before, and say that and understand that you can find a lab that's perfect for you. And so I had a really good experience, and I can always reach back to those professors to ask for help if necessary as well.
Yeah, and Ian kind of touched on this, but you don't necessarily have to start doing research first semester. If that's something you're interested, don't let anything hold you back. A lot of the people that you'll be paired with are PhD students, so they're great teachers. They're totally cool about showing you like what's going on, what things actually mean, and then it'll help you with your class material too, because you kind of get this hands-on experience. But if you're not sure you want to do research or you don't find a lab, it's completely fine to wait till your sophomore, even junior, even senior year to start doing it. I mean, I have friends that started in their junior year doing research at a lab and they're going to get published. So it's not a race. You don't have to start immediately, but if you're interested, it's a really cool thing to check out because it does show you something that you're not going to get outside of a research university like USC.
Yeah, and I can end that one. What I did, so I wanted to start research my first semester freshman year, but it was halfway through the semester and I was like, oh, better get on that. So I started emailing people and they're like, our labs are full for this semester. I was like, all right, no problem. So I, again, emailed professors winter break, like between my first semester and second semester freshman year. And I literally went on the BME research website and like emailed every single professor on there. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I just want to meet with these people and see what's up. And then I got 2 interviews out of that. And then I just talked to the professor and she was like, yeah, sure, just come on board. So it was that easy for me. And it's been super awesome to like tackle such a big thing like research that's never been done before, because it allows you to see what the field is actually like in your major. Like I felt like I understood biomedical engineering so much better through the lab than I did through taking like the intro classes, because it just throws you right in. So it's really awesome. With that, let's go into our next question from John V from Hercules, California. It's a very cool place. The question is, what was your Explore experience like? So I know a lot of you guys are going to be thinking about Explore. That's the next step that you guys have to figure out what USC is like and do your interview and everything. So we'll ask everyone here what their Explore experience was like and what was your favorite part from Explore.
I kind of have a funny story for my Explore. So I was paired with one other person. I had a host who's actually also from Santa Barbara. Shout out Nathan. His name is Jacob Yui. I don't know if the SB people know him or not, but he hosted myself and this guy named Alan Simonini, who actually attends USC and is also an aerospace engineer now. And so, we got to sleep in Jacob's dorm room that night, and Alan forgot a pillow. So I actually ended up sharing my one pillow with this guy, Alan, who's like 6 foot 6 inches tall. It's like massive dude. And now we're like really good friends, both study aerospace engineering at USC. So that was a funny experience. But the other funny part of it was that it was like a torrential downpour both days of my Explore. So I was like, oh my gosh, from Colorado, it was like snowing when I got on the plane to come out. I was in like flip-flops and shorts because I was so stoked to get to California, and it was just dumping rain the whole time. And I was like, what is going on? This is crazy. And people like the whole time were just like, yeah, it doesn't normally rain this much. Like, we're not, this is not how it is. And I was like, okay, I believe it. It's still way warmer than Colorado. But I made that friendship, with Alan that started, I guess, almost 4 or 5 years ago now. And we're still, best buds to this day. So just the people I met, both people who already attended USC, the students, the faculty members, and the other explorers who I met there, it was just amazing. So I think maybe one thing to kind of take a note of is just, know who else is actually at Explore and kind of try to reach out to as many people as you can, because those might end up being your classmates and you're really good friends once you end up coming to USC. You never know who you could be meeting one day or at an activity or this or that. So definitely keep your eyes and ears out and just know that, you might be sharing a pillow with someone who eventually becomes a good friend.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have Sabina, do you want to say something?
You go for it.
I have a kind of a similar story. So on the second day of Explore, after our interviews and everything, we sit down to this really nice lunch in one of the fancy places at USC. And across the table from me was this other girl, and we ended up hitting it off and like talking a lot. And she actually became my freshman year roommate, which was super cool because we stayed in touch and we both ended up staying in contact and we both committed. And then we ended up being roommates together in Burncrant, and we're still friends to this day, which is super cool. Another funny story from Explore is I had a 9:30 a.m. interview, and I remember this because I'll tell the story. I started from the dorm that's really, really close to where the interviews take place. For you guys on the panel, I was at Parkside, and I was walking to where the interviews take place, and I left 30 minutes early, and I got so lost that I was almost like late to my interview. It took me 25 minutes to find where I needed to go. And I rushed in there super sweaty, super nervous, and I made it. But that was like my first experience exploring the engineering area at USC. And it's really not that confusing. I don't want to scare anyone, but it was super funny for me at the time and afterwards.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about my Explore experience. So prefacing this, before Explore, I'm from around USC, right? So I was like, no way I'm going here. No way I'm going to school 30 minutes away. Absolutely not. I stepped foot on campus, and I hadn't visited USC campus at all for some reason, like in the 17 years I was here on Earth. But I visited campus, and I stepped on campus. I was like, oh my gosh, like it's beautiful. And for the next like 48 hours, I like fell in love with USC, mostly because I met all these other engineering students. And I didn't know, I was kind of nervous about engineering students being all like super nerdy, not wanting to talk to anyone. That was like my biggest fear. And I step foot on campus and I meet the people running the program and other ambassadors and things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like people are actually really cool and they have similar interests to me and they're involved in things. What? And so that was made me totally fall in love with USC. And then after Explore, I was like, all right, I'm all about this. I love this school. So definitely recommend going to Explore. Honestly, like getting the chance to step foot on campus and stay with someone that's in engineering too is unparalleled to like feeling like you're actually going to be a student here and getting that whole experience. So yeah, I just want to say, if anyone just tuned into this chat, thank you for coming. Welcome to the live chat. Congratulations on being nominated for a scholarship at USC. If you missed the beginning, this whole video is going to be posted on Viterbi Voices website. So don't worry if you feel like your questions haven't been answered. Maybe they were answered in the first 30 minutes or so that we have. And now we have about 35 minutes left. So we'll keep going. I'm going to try to pack all the questions in that you guys asked. So the next one is there support in finding internships at USC? So beyond getting into college, the next whole thing is finding a job, which is crazy. So for you guys here, how has USC supported you in finding internships, and how have your internships helped you?
So I can start this one off. I actually got my internship at Microsoft through USC Recruiting. And so I started off with Microsoft, so there's a career fair you can go to, which Microsoft is at. Microsoft was actually tabling on a different day, totally random. And I was on my way to class, but I just happened to have a copy of my resume. So I stopped and I talked to this woman who was there recruiting for their supply chain. So I'm not doing computer programming there, but we hit it off. She talked to me, and then she invited me to a couple of other events Microsoft was hosting on campus. So my entire process of interviewing with Microsoft was on campus until the final interview, which they fly you out to Seattle. And then beyond that, just working with Quest as president, my LGBTQ engineering organization, we would schedule a lot of like student-run professional events to prepare people for career fairs and things like that. So we would do resume workshops. We would bring in people from industry and do mock interviews to have people prepare. And that was all just seniors taking it upon themselves, or juniors, to plan these events. So even on top of all of the services that Viterbi provides, a lot of the upperclassmen are tuned into those needs too and do their part to kind of get everyone prepared, because we've all been there.
Yeah, I think Maria touched on a lot of it. It was like, apart from the Career Center and the career fair that Viterbi offers, a lot of the student organizations will host events during the evening, whether it's networking sessions with major companies or resume interviews or technical interviews. For me, as a computer science major, one thing that was really new was the technical interview portion. So it's kind of like a programming question that they ask you to do on a whiteboard. So you're kind of like writing code by hand, which for me was completely bizarre. Like, why would computer science majors be coding without a computer? So I definitely needed a lot of practice with that. And that was a lot of like resources that I had to go find through student organizations and whatnot. And just reaching out to a lot of different students was also very helpful.
Yeah, for me, so since I spent the last 2 summers abroad, this past fall was the first time I was really aggressively like job hunting, internship hunting, and Viterbi's career fair is incredible. So not only is there a USC-wide career fair with a ton of different companies that are recruiting majors from all over the school, Viterbi has its own career fair. And I was looking at medical device companies and biomedical companies, and I walked up to Edwards, which is the company that I am interning for this summer. And the recruiter was actually my ultimate Frisbee captain, my IM captain from freshman year, which was crazy. I had no idea she was coming. So then we were able to reconnect, and then she told me a ton about what working at Edwards was like. And I gave her my resume, and then I actually got a call back for an interview. And during my interview, I ended up talking about my experience with Ultimate Frisbee with her and what I loved about Edwards and all that stuff as well. And now I'm actually going to be working on her team this summer, which is a crazy like USC connection story, but that's just kind of what it's like recruiting at USC. There's so many incredible people around you all the time doing incredible things, and you meet people in all sorts of different ways, whether it's actually at the career fair or in your classes or in something like Ultimate Frisbee.
I'd like to give you guys a quick note of scale. So the Viterbi Career Fair last fall had almost 160 companies recruiting at it. So it took up literally the entire campus from south to north on Truesdale Parkway, which is, half mile, 3/4 of a mile long. That was filled on like one side. There's 2 rows of booths, just go all the way down, companies A to Z lining up that whole part of campus. So it's really incredible. There's a huge demand for USC Viterbi students, both for full-time and internship and co-op positions. It's really exciting to see and to be able to get out there because there's just a huge demand. So, and it's really cool to talk about, oh man, I'm at this career fair that's for my specific school, engineering, and that's bigger than the one for the rest of the entire school, so that's really exciting too. If anyone wants to talk about the other career fair too, I know there's a startup career fair, so maybe Sabina, you can talk about that.
Yeah, so there is a startup career fair, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's once a semester, and we bring in, anywhere from 20 to 40-ish, probably like right around 30 companies from the LA area for the most part. And it's a really similar experience to the larger Viterbi career fair. But the really cool thing is that if you're not just interested in like a technical internship, maybe you're interested in entrepreneurship, you want to go into more of like a business or marketing type of internship, maybe if you're studying CS and business, then there are those opportunities kind of there for you too, right? Because these are startups, they're smaller companies that really want interns to kind of fulfill a role that has a larger, scope, which I think is a really cool experience. I know I did a bunch of recruiting there and was interested and did interview with a bunch of different startups that were, here in LA, Santa Monica. So I really, really would recommend talking to people about that if you decide that you're going to come here to explore.
Yeah, and with that, I think I want to say also, maybe even if you're not looking for an internship, if it's like the summer after your freshman year, you're going to do research on campus, just networking at the career fair is like, sorry, someone's outside. Just networking at the career fair is like such a good opportunity to just like feel like an adult and like sell yourself and like do that whole elevator pitch thing. I went to the career fair actually a few days ago on Thursday of this week, the Viterbi career fair. And I went to these companies that like, honestly, I hadn't researched that much. I was just there to like practice. And I got like all this really good advice from recruiters from companies that I've never heard of. And I just walked up to them. They had a short line. I did my whole thing. And they gave me advice about like my life and like what I should do and my career. So just having all these companies come and talk to us is super duper helpful. Cool. So I just want to make a note really fast. So we're getting a lot of questions that are like admission related. So about like AP IB credit, or like the percentage of people that got offered scholarships, like getting the scholarships and stuff like that. We don't really know the answer to those questions. We're just students here to talk about student life. But if you have questions about that, you can go on the Viterbi admission website, viterbiadmission.usc.edu, and that has a ton of info. Or you can email them at viterbi.admission@usc.edu. If you have like a super specific question, if you can't make it to explore, something like that, if you're international, all these things, feel free to email them about that. And next, I will go on to another question from Ishan from San Ramon, California. The question is, how much time do you spend on engineering, and do you have a social life at all? Can you even do anything outside of class? And I want to direct this at Tim if you have the answer for that one.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you can have a social life on campus. I'm obviously I'm part of a lot of clubs on campus, but I'm also part of a social fraternity since I joined it. And beyond that, I've had a lot of opportunity to do a lot of travel on weekends, which is something I'm passionate about. So just this last weekend, I was up towards Baker, California in the Kelso Dunes. And actually today I got to go to Santa Monica this morning. So you can move around a lot, obviously being in LA, but in terms of engineering balance with social life, I think they're definitely a Viterbi strike somewhere right in the middle.
I'll go off on that. I completely agree with everything Tim said. That was a huge concern for me coming into college as an engineering major. I didn't know if I'd be able to have a social life and have fun and do what I wanted to do, or if I'd just be stuck in the library day and night. And I mean, sometimes it is hard. Sometimes you are in the library, you don't really have a choice. But if you work hard, you manage your time, you get your priorities straight, you definitely do have time to do other things. Like Tim, I'm also in a fraternity, and I also regularly take trips on weekends, whether it's snowboarding or just surfing in the morning. There's definitely ways you can have fun as an engineer.
Yeah, and to kind of, I guess, talk about what I do, I really, really love to go see concerts. And there's a bunch, just close to USC or just in the LA area. And I've really gotten to take advantage of, like $15, like random pop-up concerts around here. And that is something that you can do as an engineer. And, I study computer science. And one of the really cool things about, having a community of people in computer science as well, is that you can really be social while you do your homework, right? Because it's a bunch of you guys just kind of sitting in a room. It's 2 a.m. You've got like a tub of ice cream and a bag of hot Cheetos, and you're just all complaining about how much like stress you're under and all of that kind of stuff. But then you're all working on it together, and it really just, I don't know, I guess motivates you to keep working. I don't know if that's making a whole lot of sense, but every aspect of just being an engineer, like, I mean, the literal definition of being an engineer is, you would have to be able to solve problems with other people. So why not, practice that in your work? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Savina touched on a really good point. Like, I know at the beginning of this live chat, if you were already tuned in, we all listed off like this laundry list of involvements. But like, most of those things are just things that we do for fun. So like my entrepreneurship challenge I'm in, I'm in it with 4 of my closest friends. Every time we sit to have a meeting, we probably procrastinate for half an hour beforehand, just chatting, catching up, watching like YouTube videos, whatever. So a lot of the involvements you can do are super fun. And then even like beyond that, I have like tons of free time. Like, don't get me wrong, sometimes I've got a big project due and I am going to have to stay in a library and do some studying and whatnot. But besides that, like I've gotten through seasons of shows some semesters. I've been playing a ton of Breath of the Wild with my roommates lately. Like, I had this crazy idea of what college was going to be like, in that you'd be working all the time, like in high school, how you're there for 9 or 7 hours and then you go home and you've got like a club. It's really not like that. Your time's so much less structured that even on days when I'm busy, I still manage to fit in lunch with a friend, or I come home and I get to chill out for a bit. So definitely if you're on those college forums and you're reading about like, oh, people are up all the time, they don't do anything, like whatever, that's hype. I have not met any engineers at USC that really don't have a life.
Yeah, and like one more thing, I think one of the coolest things about USC is that the fact that we're located in LA, which is so sick, and we're 2 miles from downtown. So there's so many amazing restaurants and things to explore. And like Sabina was talking about, concerts. One of my favorite things to do is eat, especially like ice cream. And there's a lot of really good ice cream places around LA. So definitely on Friday nights or Saturday nights, me and my friends will go and try new places to eat. We went to this one place that only serves French fries, like full-size plates of French fries with all sorts of crazy toppings and stuff on it. Super amazing, and it's open till 3 a.m., which is awesome. So basically, you have a lot of time to explore and do fun things. You study, but you also have fun.
Yeah, and I want to add to what Subina said about like the feeling of closeness within the engineering community. Even when you're in times of stress, like I was outside the Starbucks in the village where I live until like 1 a.m. with all my newly mechy friends doing this thermodynamics homework. And we were just like struggling along because it was due the next day. But it was so fun. Like we enjoyed being with each other and like having that community and that like super collaborative environment where you do your homework together because like someone else said, like that's what you're going to do in your real life. You're going to work on projects with other people. So having that time to like hang out, but also doing homework at the same time makes like doing your homework social and fun. And everyone here is like super collaborative in that way. So that's what I love about USC too. So what I want to ask next, this is a question from Evie in Nebraska. She asked, is it possible to minor with engineering or even just take classes in non-engineering or like non-technical fields? Anyone want to take that one?
Yeah, sure.
Or,
you
go for it.
Okay, I'll do it. I think we have the same minor too, but I'm minoring in entrepreneurship, so it is possible. I actually switched once from performance science, and I think I'm going to switch again to business finance, but it's definitely possible. You can do. I have friends in all sorts of minors. I'm just trying to go more the business route. But yes, you do have space. I also took other non-engineering and non-minor classes, like improv and weightlifting. It's a good time. You can really do whatever you want.
Yeah, I would say I chose not to take a minor actually. So I've been spending all my free credits on some ridiculous classes. I've taken international ballroom dance. I've been in yoga, piano. I'm in a different yoga class now. I'm taking poetry. So if you've got free units and you don't feel like getting a minor, I just thought it was more fun to take the things that USC has to offer and really get this like vibrant education with a lot of different just topics. So that's kind of been my approach to it, and it's been super fun.
Yeah, my minor is not too different from my major. It's healthcare studies, and my major is biomedical engineering again. But that minor is super cool because I get to take a lot of classes at the medical school, which is it's about 20 minutes away, but there's a shuttle, so I go over there. And one of my favorite classes that I've taken at USC was cadaver anatomy, which is an amazing class that usually you can only take at medical schools, like as a medical student. And I got to take that as an undergrad. So I had time to fit that into my engineering curriculum. And it was super doable and super easy to do.
Yeah, and along with that, you're required to take beyond your engineering curriculum, you're required to take GEs. And so those are in like various categories like art and social analysis and all these things. And so you can fit in really fun classes in those too. So I took my GE art it was a hip hop class, basically. We didn't dance. It was hip hop dance, but we didn't dance all the time. We like learned about the history of hip hop, and then we danced a few times. And my professor was like super duper cool, and it was a super fun class. I got to go from calculus to physics to hip hop, and just kind of like diversified my day, and it made it a good time. And then that was like within the number of units that I need to take to graduate. So that's also an option.
I can vouch for Celeste's hip hop class. She gave actually all of us a lesson in it one time when we were signing all the postcards we sent out to you. So she told us all about hip hop.
Yeah, you know, the pillars of hip hop and all of that stuff. Really, really good. Okay, and then next up is Mark from NorCal wants to know, what are the different kinds of dorms? What are all of your experiences with housing? And then specifically, we can't fully talk about the McCarthy Honors College because none of us lived there because it was beyond our times. But if you want to mention kind of what honors housing is like, if you've lived in Burncrant in the past.
Sure. So my freshman year, I lived in Burncrant, which at the time was, like you said, the honors dorm. And I was on the same floor as Ria, which is where we became such good friends. And I really loved that. I think they had a slogan that was something like 8 floors of open doors. And it was really a great community where you get to really get to know everyone on your floor. Like all of my, like everyone that I've kind of lived with in the last, couple of years have been people that I've met through Burncrant. And it's just a really nice way to have like a built-in community, which I really, really enjoy about just the fact that, we're all in dorms and then we're all like sharing one bathroom between 20 people, which sounds kind of like, I guess, kind of like exactly how it is, but you do get to bond in some, some unfortunate circumstances. What?
Yeah, I also lived in Burncrant, same year as Savina. I was going to touch on, beyond getting to know your floor, you also get to know the other floors. So that's how I met Ria and Savina. So it was just like, I enjoyed being able to go literally anywhere in the building and meet people and, just talk about not only engineering, but what some people were doing outside of engineering, which was amazing. You'll meet people who live with you who they do all sorts of cool things that I don't think I would have been able to hear about if I hadn't lived in that dorm freshman year. And these are still people that I see around campus today. And, we'll still say hi, catch up, how's life going? And I think it just really is great to be able to go in as a freshman and have somewhere to be comfortable. I know I was pretty scared as a freshman going to college. I didn't know how to meet people. I didn't know will these people even like me? But everyone is in the same boat, and everyone is very willing and very open, to becoming new friends.
Yeah, I'll also talk a little bit about the different types of housing options. I lived in Burncrant freshman year. This year I live in New North, which is also a freshman dorm. I'm in RA. It's sweet. New North is definitely a lot more social, but it's awesome. It has its own benefits. All the dorms are different. The main 3 styles of living are regular dorms, which are you usually have one roommate and you guys all share a communal bathroom with the people in your hall. And that has pros and cons. You see the people in the hall a lot, but at the end of the day, you are sharing a bathroom with a lot of different guys or girls. And another style is apartment, and there's apartment and suite are the 2 other kinds. So dorms like Floor and McCarthy are suite style living, and then Parkside is apartment style living. To be honest, I don't really know what the difference from a suite and an apartment is, but there is a difference somehow. But basically, you live with their apartment mates or suite mates, and you guys each have your own bathroom per suite or apartment. And a lot of people in that style of living end up getting really close with the people in their suite or apartment, but not as much with the ones down the hall. So there's definitely pros and cons to every different type of living.
Yeah, and then go ahead, Maria.
Yeah, I was just going to say one last thing is housing applications start like right around when Explore ends. So you want to get those in, like once you leave Explore, start looking at housing, because even if you haven't committed to USC yet, the earlier you get in, the more priority you have for choosing housing. And so since you're coming to Explore, you can kind of get into that pool a little earlier and get your first choice housing.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that. I did my like deposit before I even accepted USC, because I was like, I just got to make sure that I get my first choice. And I ended up living in Burn Grant too. My floor 4 reppin' always, has some of my best friends. Seriously, my current roommate, I lived with her last year. Also, gonna live with her again next year. So it's super fun to make friends there. And you're all starting freshman year together, and you're all like kind of overwhelmed with everything that's happening. So you kind of use each other to like get close and find your people. That's really awesome. I don't know if anyone else had experiences outside of dorms, like maybe where you live now. I can start, actually, I live in the Village. I mentioned that really briefly. I think I might be the only one here that lives in the Village. Basically I live in an apartment. I'm actually in the study lounge, which is across the hall from my apartment. And it's super nice. We have all these study lounges throughout my entire building. There's a Starbucks downstairs in my building. There's a Target and a Trader Joe's within a 1-minute walk, I would say. One time I counted how long it took me to go buy something from Target and come back to my dorm, and it was 5 minutes. So pretty exciting stuff. If anyone else has other things about like maybe non-USC housing that you've lived in. No. Okay, never mind. It's all good. But basically, once people move on from USC housing after their first or second year, usually you can like live in a house with friends, and that's what I'm doing next year. So lots of options for all kinds of personalities, and it's a good time. Next, Kevin from Sunnydale, also a very cool place name, wants to know, what is your favorite course or professor at USC? Maybe Tim wants to start on this one.
Putting me on the spot. My favorite course or professor, actually maybe a course I'm taking right now. I'm taking, as a arts GE, I'm taking Dance 280 with Allison D'Amato, which is dance as a form of art. And I think you were talking about a hip hop class you were taking earlier. That, I mean, I think you did a little bit of dancing, but there was a little bit of course material to it, apart from the physical dancing. And actually, that's what this course is entirely. It's kind of a historical take on dances of different forms. And again, just really interesting class, the nicest professor. So I highly recommend it for anyone looking for an arts GE.
One of my favorite professors is one of the computer science professors. I took one of his classes. It was Introduction to Computer Systems last year, actually. And so the class wasn't necessarily my favorite, just because the topic is, it doesn't sound the most exciting. But what made me really enjoy the class was just how much the professor cared about the students, how much he loved teaching the topic, how much effort he put in. It was one of the newer classes that the computer science department was offering. And so we have lecture session and also discussion sessions. And usually we have TAs or course producers run those discussion sessions. But because this professor was so dedicated to the students learning everything in that class, he would run the lectures and also all of the 3 or 4 different discussion sections. And that just like gave me like such a great feeling of knowing like he cares so much that he's teaching the material well. He always wanted the students' feedback, and it just shows a lot about how much the faculty at Viterbi cares about not only are you learning the material, but how are you doing in school? Like, how's your career? What do you have any questions just about life? And he's still one of the professors that I talk to when I see him around campus, and he just gave me a really, really good impression of the Viterbi computer science department.
Yeah, and Ying, I think I know the professor you're talking about. I think you're talking about Professor Schindler.
Yeah, right? Yeah, he's great. I cannot like stop talking about Schindler. He's amazing.
Yeah, so I actually had him as well. I had him freshman year for 2 classes at the same time. And I can totally confirm that he is so dedicated to just teaching, I guess, the young new computer scientists. But I really enjoyed every minute in his class, especially his jokes, which he will admit are a little bit cheesy. But at the same time, so I had Professor Schindler and I also had Professor Redekop for actually 3 classes. So if you're thinking about going into computer science or electrical engineering, you will probably take a class with him. And he is, again, just one of those professors that is so dedicated to making sure that, you know, the students are really learning. Like, he really is invested in not just, I guess, your education, but also your own, like, you as a student, your well-being. So I've definitely just been to his office hours to talk not only about like coursework, but also just about how I'm doing, you know, how my semester is going. He still remembers me, you know, from freshman year, and my little group of friends that we all met in his class still get lunch with him on a pretty regular basis, and we get coffee with him whenever he's available. So, you know, the professors here are really willing to take that extra step and assist you in more ways than just being there as your teachers, but they're definitely 100% there as your teachers and mentors.
Yeah, one of the classes that I'm taking this semester is actually so incredible. It's called Development and Regulation of Medical Products. And it's with Dr. Loeb, who's just an amazing professor in the biomedical engineering department. He runs a research lab and has had, I don't know, like 4 or 5 startups like spin out of the products in his lab. He's insane. But he has years and years of industry experience, and this class meets once a week on Friday afternoons from 2 to 5 p.m. And everyone is in there because they love that class so much. Like, it's such a great experience. And he invites guest speakers to talk about their experiences in industry. And actually next Wednesday, he's taking us all to Anaheim for a med tech conference, which is like one of the biggest ones in California. So he's just such a great mentor and such a great person. And I love talking to him. So that's definitely one of the best classes I've been taking here at USC.
Celeste, you're muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. Okay. What I was saying to myself is that I'm going to have to cut anyone off who is going to talk because we only have 2 questions left because we only have 8 minutes left, which is so sad. But the second last question is more of a fun one from Patrick in Fort Lauderdale. And he asked, what are all of our favorite Trojan traditions? So we know USC is super like tradition heavy, has all this history, and it's super fun. So if anyone wants to say some traditions that they love here.
My favorite's a little ridiculous. So I lived near Levy Library my freshman year, and there's a tradition around finals week called like the Levy Scream or whatever. So it's like the marching band will come in and start playing like during finals week at like 9 p.m. or something. And then as a student, you're supposed to like get up from your studying and like take a break. I had no idea my first year when I was at USC, so that just came out of nowhere. Like, I was sitting there and suddenly like the marching band starts playing and I was like, what is going on? But that was always really fun.
I like kicking the lamppost on the way into the stadium for the football game. So on the way into we all walk to the football stadium because it's super close to campus. It's right across the street. And there's one tall flagpole that the bottom of it, everyone kicks it on the way into the game. And I don't really understand why we do it, but it's still kind of fun to just kick it. So I'd go with kicking the flagpole.
I think another fun one is the fountain run. So hasn't actually happened when it's scheduled to happen because most of the time it's for seniors who are about to graduate. They do it after their finals are done, and you just dress up in ridiculous clothing. And you go and you jump in all the fountains on campus. You know, you jump in one, run to the other one, jump in the one, you know. And so last year they drained the fountains like a week before school was out because they didn't want people to do it. So what me and some buddies did to celebrate being done with our second semester junior year finals was we did our own fountain run. So there were like 7 or 8 of us who just did it ourselves. It was a great ton of fun. People looked at us super weird. We were running around campus, you know, soaking wet, went through all the fountains, but that was kind of a great one. It's definitely a little bit one of the weirder ones, but it's still a really good time. And yeah, it's refreshing too.
I think one of my favorites is during Conquest Week, which is the week leading up to the USC-UCLA football game. Obviously, big rivalry game, whatever. So for the whole week before, we have all these like festivities and ending in a concert and like a bonfire of like an effigy of a bear and all these things. But part of it is that we wrap Tommy Trojan and Traveler, our two kind of like mascot like statues, I guess. We wrap them in like saran wrap or like duct tape. And there's these people called the Trojan Knights, and they 24/7 watch these two saran wrapped people horses and just make sure that they're not getting messed with by UCLA. So that one's always fun. I'm glad I'm not someone that's there 24/7, but it's fun to watch them. Okay, and we only have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to wrap it up with one last question that everyone's been asking, which is, why did you choose USC? Out of all these schools, out of all these engineering places, why did each one of you choose USC? And we'll go through everyone on this question. So.
Cool. So I'll start off with this one. That was a huge question that I had in my mind when I was trying to decide on schools. I didn't really know where to start. But what I kept kind of thinking back to was the interest that USC showed in me. So not only was I really excited about USC, about Southern California, you know, about the opportunities here, but it seemed like USC and Viterbi, like in particular, was really excited about me actually coming here and being a student too. I got so much mail from Viterbi. I got these postcards. I got people like, you know, saying, hey, do you have any questions? You want to learn about aerospace more? You know, here's our magazine. Here's what's going on. Here's how to get involved in research. I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I'm really sold on this school. The school is still trying to sell itself to me. And it seems like they actually care about like me as a person actually attending there, not just, oh, this is, you know, some great person who would make us look good as a school. It's like, no, we really want Nash to come to Viterbi. So for me, it was that relationship of like, this is super mutual, you know, both sides really excited about each other. And so it felt really natural. And then on top of that, you know, it's kind of like a small classroom environment, but a really big school feel as far as sports are concerned. So I was excited about that. There's great aerospace opportunities in Southern California. You can get outside. It's a great place to go flying. The weather's pretty great around here. But it's also a change from home, being from Colorado. So kind of all those things combined really made the decision a no-brainer. But that interest that USC showed in me really, really sold me on the school.
Yeah, and going off of what Nash said, I totally agree with the fact that USC and Viterbi showed so much interest in me as, you know, a student, a prospective student. I also have to say that there's so many things that I felt like I wanted to accomplish in college. And, you know, it was really the school that showed me that I could do exactly what I wanted to do. You know, in high school, I never really saw myself, you know, I knew that I was interested in math and science and coding, but at the same time, there's so many other ways that I define myself. Like my favorite class in high school was probably AP Literature. And the fact that I'm able to kind of get this liberal arts education while simultaneously studying engineering is really something that I have found to be just really, really unique about USC. I was also able to study abroad right after my freshman year. I mean, who gets to do that as an engineer, right? And I'm also interested in law, so I have a pre-law emphasis. I'm able to meet with the law school advisors and just schedule appointments at whatever chance, you know, whenever is really good for me. And the other really great thing is that I'm not too far from home. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm from the Bay Area, so it's, you know, enough distance that I don't get any surprise visits, but also close enough that if I wanted to go home for a weekend, it's just an hour flight away. So I guess for those reasons, so many more, I chose USC.
Yeah, so for me, I really wasn't sure about USC when I was first looking at it. It's 3,000 miles away from home. I'd never been to Los Angeles. I don't know anyone in California, but what really sealed the deal was coming to explore and just experiencing everything it had to offer, because I felt like for me, the high school environment wasn't like my ideal. It was very competitive. I was shy, things like that. And just meeting people at Explore and seeing what people made of their time at Viterbi really made me see somewhere where I could grow as a person. I could become like these different things. I could try out random things that I'd never tried before, different clubs, stuff like that. And all of that within this really collaborative environment. So we haven't touched on that a lot, but you'll definitely hear about it at Explore. Viterbi is so collaborative. Like so many of my homeworks are group homeworks. It just has this feeling of you're working together towards a goal, not trying to beat someone out for a GPA point or things like that. And so looking at like the whole environment, the whole package around Viterbi, I really thought it was somewhere where I could see myself in 4 years becoming these people I admired, that I met when I came to explore and that I saw do their own things.
Yeah, and USC was a pretty easy choice for me. It had everything I was looking for in a school. It was a big school, so it had exciting sports teams, exciting social life, a lot of people I could get to meet, and the resources of a big school. But with it was a place where professors would actually know my name. I would be comfortable and able to go to office hours and ask questions. They would help me find a job, and there is a Trojan network. And then, I mean, I'm also from California, so I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to weather, and I wanted to stay here. So luckily, I could stay relatively close to home. But I mean, LA is a cool city too. There's stuff to do in the city. I think Suvino was talking about it earlier. You can just go to random concerts every now and then, like Fetty Wap for $10, or you can go surfing close by, like half an hour away, or go snowboarding a couple hours away in the other direction. So there's a lot to do around here, and that's why I chose USC.
Yeah, I mean, my reasons are definitely similar to what everyone else has been saying. The opportunities at Viterbi are endless. Like Savina, I was able to go abroad after my freshman year and after my sophomore year and do a whole bunch of different incredible, like start a company with like some of my friends and do a lot of different things just by, you know, sending an email to someone at USC and just saying, hey, can I do this? And they'll be like, yeah, okay, sure. And here, we'll give you some money to do it. So USC just has these incredible opportunities. But one of the biggest things that I love about USC is the diverse community, not only in Viterbi, but around the whole school. So there's so many different amazing schools, like the cinema school, like the art school, like the Dornsife, like there's so many amazing different people that are passionate about things outside of your world that you get to interact with. And that's something that inspires me to do things outside of engineering and become a better engineer, but also, you know, be a more well-rounded person. And that's something that I really love about USC and LA. And that's definitely one of the biggest reasons I chose to come here.
Yeah, cool. So first off, I want to reiterate everything that people have said before, because I completely agree, particularly about the engineering school being like very collaborative, which was a huge appeal from the beginning. But one thing that was particularly appealing to me when I first visited campus was the idea that USC is such a big school, but confined in such a small campus. And so you like between walking to classes or just going to get lunch, you're constantly running into all these people, you know, seeing your friends around. And I don't know, that's huge for me. It's become one of my favorite parts of the school. And so I don't know, it gives you that feel of being, you know, a home away from home. So
yeah, I would definitely say my reasons are very similar to what people have already said. I think my main two reasons boil down to opportunities that I thought I would have at Viterbi, and then also the collaboration that I saw when I came to visit during Explore. So first, with opportunities, I felt like research was a really big part of choosing colleges for me. I really wanted to get into research, and Viterbi made it very clear that it is easy to get into research. You can do research. You can do whatever type of research you want to do. And knowing that was very important to me. The other reason in terms of collaboration was that, especially as an engineer, you will probably, you probably will experience competition, and that's just inevitable. It just seemed to me that Viterbi was not the place where competition became dangerous or damaging. When I came to visit Explore, I got to meet my host and her friends who are also engineers in Viterbi, and just getting to see their interactions with each other and say, oh, did you do your calc homework? Oh, I can help you out, and stuff like that was just, you know, knowing that the engineers were there to help out each other was a huge reason why I chose Viterbi. And so many more, like Los Angeles is great, and there's so much to do, and the people are wonderful. So you'll have plenty of reasons. Those are just mine for why I chose USC.
Yeah, and I think, again, like everyone said, I agree with everything else that people said, but for me, it all comes down to the people. And the people that I initially met here at Explore, the people that I live with now, are the people that I'm in group projects with. And it's just engineers who are doing so much and who are such well-rounded people. And that's the thing I said before, that I was really nervous about people just wanting to study all the time, being like more nerdy, shy, introverted, and that's absolutely not true. People are doing everything on this campus, as you can see by the examples we have here. But people from diverse backgrounds, and then being able to meet people like me and unlike me, I think is really important. So meeting people in the art school through my GEs or like whatever. And then my high school didn't have football, so that was a pretty big pull too, as a football team, and I've enjoyed my fair share of game days through that. But yeah, so that was our last question. We hope that you all enjoyed this live chat. Again, it'll be posted in full on our website, but make sure you go to Viterbi Admission for more admission-related questions that we couldn't fully answer here, more stats-related stuff. But overall, we can't wait to see you at Explore USC. We'll be there. But before you come, check out viterbivoices.usc.edu. That's where this video will be. That's where our podcasts are by Ria. That's where our videos are by Arya and Michael, all these other cool people that you can meet, blogs, all sort of stuff about what we talked about today. So if you're interested, go check all that out. Congrats again, and fight on.